checking out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California has won the big game. 5 seconds left in the game. You believe in miracles? Yes!
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnett.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vine, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, Radford pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as the valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big dog sports talk, lighten up the dark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark. Sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark.
Well, I won't say I'm in the zone every day and every night. I'll say I'm in the zone 73% of the time. It's still a pretty high percentage. You know, you could be out of the zone for that long and you wouldn't be nearly as effective. Good morning. How are you? Hey, we made it to Friday. We are here. We will not go without football until January sometime. How about that? High school football tonight. Week 0 tomorrow. Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Kay. How are you? Everyone, please subscribe, like, and share. We'll have Blacksburg High School football tonight, debuting on the channel with Landon Weaver and Richard Terry. A couple of Bill Ross students. We're excited about that. Not a huge sushi guy, no. Prefer my fish cooked, okay? I mean, you're not going to see me roll up and go, hey, guys, hey. There's a nice sushi joint around the corner. What do you say? Huh? No. not going to happen. It looks cool. It's pretty. Not eating it. All right, so we got a lot going on today. We've had to move things around today. So in hour 2, Mike Ashley's going to join us, but we'll also have Ray Cox, the legendary writer for the Roanoke Times, and Ralph Barrier with Mike. And then Coach Elmo will join us in hour number 3. We're not used to seeing such a pretty face this early. But we have Jen, the Gamecock girl, with us right now because she has things she had to maneuver around. And then she was nice enough to join us here this morning. We could not just diss her appearance because we had way too much going on. What's up, Jen? How are you?
It is dark outside.
Hey, this is how I start every day. Yeah.
Very dark in the condo, very dark outside. But I'm rallying. We have an important topic today, and it had to be addressed.
It had to be addressed. And, of course, you have what, a doctor's appointment? Is that right? Just a checkup?
I do, yeah. Hopefully nothing's wrong. I don't think so, but got to stay on top of it. I mean, I think everything's fine.
Don't scare me.
No, don't be scared, baby. It's fine.
Okay.
Everything's good.
Okay. First, Mike Burnham. Now you.
No, I just like to get it over with before football season starts because I don't want stuff hanging over.
Understand.
Got to clean juju so I have good positive karma for football.
Well, we're getting positive karma kicked off this morning. It's always a lot of fun. It was very popular last time, and you're going to enjoy it because Jen is ranking the SEC coaches. No, not by their coaching prowess or how she thinks they're going to do this season. From the perspective of a single, very attractive woman who's sultry, who enjoys her bourbon and her fine meats and her college football. If she were out and about on a, dating service, or if she were just hanging out at one of the sports bars, who would she like to go out with? We're going to rank them. We're going to go from bottom to number 1 again, right?
Sure. And you're equipped, right? You received a spreadsheet.
I did. I'm looking it over now. This is so good. You've got, here are the categories real quick. We've got attractiveness, fun factor, intelligence, conversation. Ooh, the share of is it the share drive? Does that mean like similar drive that you have?
This was kind of considering the road trip scenario. Would they be willing to, would they volunteer? Hey, let me do some of that driving. Okay. Or are they just going to expect me because they're important SEC football coach? Or they expect me to drive them around like I'm their worker?
Okay. All right. What is the healthy? What is that? Healthy versus?
Oh, toxic.
Healthy versus toxic.
How they would treat the relationship between us and how toxic that might be for me personally.
Okay. All right. Food selection and charisma. And she told us up all the categories and she comes away with her total. All right. Well, we got a lot of coaches to get through because there's a lot of squads in your league. When we have the realignment, you may have to do this over a 2-show period. You might have so many schools in the SEC.
Well, okay, let me give you a quick timeout to explain. I watched at least 10 minutes of each coach at SEC Media Days. Some of these.
Hey, Jazz. Good morning, Jazz.
Jazz is very active this morning. She's trying to figure out why I'm doing this at 6 a.m.
I understand.
So it was based on SEC Media Day. So they all had the same, it was all 2026. They all had the same venue. same interaction that they were being judged on.
You should be a scout. I mean, that's very smart. Same venue, no home field advantage, right? Nobody out of their element, everybody there together. So I like that. All right, so we're going from bottom to top. So when you hear these names, realize that if you're hearing them early, well, they're not jumping in that car post-date with Jen back to the old South Carolina tailgate pad, if you know what I'm saying. All right, we'll let you start this thing. Who is at the very bottom? I don't think if anyone's been paying attention very closely, it's going to be a massive surprise.
Well, Arkansas, I'm sorry. You went from first to last in 1 year for me.
Wow. That's true. Boy, what a fall from grace. Wow.
Terrible. I'm trying to remember my comments. All right, I'm going to have to put on my glasses.
Do you want me to read the comments and you can comment on them?
Okay, that'd be good because then I don't have to put my glasses on.
All right, so the total for Ryan Silverfield is 35. Woo. And the note here from Jen is boring and lots of cliches, not a lot of hogwash with me. Oh, is that what he said?
That was one of his quotes. It's real like cliched and cheesy. And
yeah, I don't like that.
He's trying to be all like country boy, like approachable, yucky. It's not working.
Said he doesn't understand what aura is. Ooh, did he really?
He doesn't know.
Yeah. So, boy, 35 points. He scored highest now in the healthy thing, the healthy category.
I don't think he's smart enough to know how to manipulate somebody in a relationship. Is that bad?
No, that's fine. That's fine. And boy, he completely failed in conversation. 2. He got a 2 out of 10. Wow. Nothing else was above 5. Nicely done. What's up, Prince? How are you? Good morning. Please subscribe. All right. Who is next on the list after Mr. Silverfield?
I'm going to need you to kind of run this because I don't have my glasses.
Oh, okay.
Unless you want me to.
No, that's fine. That's fine. No, I'll get into it. All right. So after Ryan Silverfield, again, this is bottom to top. John Sumrall from Florida, who has really come across as a complete toolbox, hasn't he, since he got there to Florida?
I mean, yeah. He seems like he's read a lot of the time, too. Like he's like Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah, he does look a little red all the time, doesn't he? Blustery, she says. Crazy eyes, unpredictable, likes pedicures. That's true. That was a no-go for you immediately, wasn't it, when he was doing all this?
I don't know if I really want my SEC football coach man to be coming to get a pedicure with me. I don't know. Maybe I'm sort of traditional that way. I just
no.
I don't want him to have feet that are really soft.
Yeah, but you want this. You want to be like, yo, honey, I need to go get my nails done. And you want him to go, well, do you want me to drive you?
Yeah. I don't want him to go in.
But you don't want him to go, oh, great. What do we get? I can't wait to get a new color today.
It's just not for me. And his wife seemed very proud of it. And she talked openly about it, but
he got a 9 in charisma.
I mean, he's definitely got a personality. It's just not a personality that I'm attracted to.
And a 3 in conversation. So you're thinking that wouldn't go very far if you two were sitting somewhere trying to have a nice convo. Yeah. Yeah. Good morning, Jeff. How are you? What's up, Prometheus? Signetti doesn't get his nails done, Prometheus says.
That's right.
He's got a point.
Yes.
All right, next on the list. Wow, he may have gotten a fresh new contract, but Kalen DeBoer from Alabama, 3rd from the bottom. What about him?
Caleb DeBoering is kind of getting known as in the SEC. I don't know, and I'm concerned he's ribbing out.
I think he's ribbing out? Yeah.
Yeah. He's not he needs a little more strength training in his routine, probably too much running. I really want to shave his head. I know you always bust on Shane Beamer, but
yeah,
this guy needs to shave his head for real.
Shave the head. Back off of the teeth whitening.
Too much.
Too much. Yeah.
He's starting to look like a little piece of beef jerky with really, really white teeth, and it's not a good thing for him.
That's pretty funny. He got a 9 in the healthy. What is this category again? Healthy versus, I'm sorry. It cuts off for me. I can't read it.
It's okay. I know. It's more about how they would treat the relationship and how toxic they would be.
Healthy versus toxic. Okay. Gotcha.
Right. Like for me, so a high score indicates a healthy, good, like a mature handling of a relationship, even in the initial stages with communication and being nice.
He got high marks in the Alpha to share the drive. You got an 8. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But he failed miserably in food selection because, like you're saying, if he's ribbing out and the fun factor.
It does not seem fun. I don't know if you can see part of the fun factors. I envisioned playing truth or dare with each one of them in the car on our little road trip. And I just don't think it would be fun to play truth or dare with.
All right. 4th from the bottom. Will Stein at Kentucky. Not a bad debut for, a new coach in the league, replacing your old guy down there, Mr. Stoops. He looks like a banker, Jen says. Uptight. Green in the role. There we go. You don't like the rookie guy, do you? You don't like that rookie guy.
I like rookie if you got a little swagger, but he seems kind of nervous. Like at SEC days, he had his speech all folded up and like little tiny. It reminded me of passing notes in 7th grade. Like, remember those little tiny ways who would fold the notes and pass them to one another? That's what it reminded me of. And he went to the podium and then did the slow unfolding of it and everything. And I was like, you need to have that ready. Walk up to your own place and boom, get started. Let's go.
But, a lot of times the first thing that appeals to someone is that eye contact. You've got him at a 7 for attractiveness.
I mean, he kind of looks like a grown-up fraternity guy. I don't know. I don't know. He's really young. Is he 31? He's young.
He's 16. Yeah, it's crazy. Now, I think he is in his early 30s. Yeah.
Little baby face.
Yeah. He got a 3 in charisma, as you mentioned, and wow, okay. Well, we got another 7 too. The healthy versus toxic. So he showed it pretty well there.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like he's got potential, though, to develop just like a young freshman coming in, right? I mean, he's got a chance if he can get some of the other things. He's got some of the important things already,
Yes, he's not unattractive, and he seems sincere in his interest in doing that gig and caring for Kentucky. I just curious how it will unfold, like his speech that was folded into a tiny little square.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. 5th from the bottom, Alex Golish at Auburn. What did you not like? What stood out? Russian-American, new on the job, has some dad body going.
Like, how many Russian-Americans have you seen in the SEC? That's kind of fun.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, it's different. You're kind of getting cultured.
Yeah.
Alex got a 7 in attractiveness. Wow, just like Will Stein. So you don't mind looking at him.
Not bad.
Yeah. And he got a 4 in charisma. That's his low number, I believe. Yeah, he got a 4 in charisma. Not much to say about him. He's just kind of there, isn't he?
He's kind of there, and
that's what you would feel on your date. You'd be looking across, going, "Okay, this is just some. This could be anybody." Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when I really want to go eat like a lobster tail at lunch when I'm at work, and it turns out instead I have to go to the fridge and pull out a leftover because I've got a meeting in 30 minutes, and I just eat it, and I'm like, okay, well, I've eaten now.
Yeah,
it's like filler.
That's like that. Yeah, I got you.
It's a meal, but it's not like a satisfying, delicious, memorable meal.
Yeah, it'd be like you got back to the office, you're like, how did it go with that? He's cute. Yeah, but I don't know. He's just that guy. He's just that guy. Now, this one made me laugh because I can see it. Josh Heupel is next, the head coach at Tennessee. And I laugh because he got the dreaded, the number you don't want on here probably more than any other. He got the 1 in attractiveness.
I'm sorry, Josh. You're not for me.
Was a good quarterback, but no longer has it. Yeah. Yeah.
He did pretty well considering he's ranked where he is with a 1 on the looks.
Was a good quarterback, but no longer has that quarterback swagger. Looks like Bobby on King of the Hill.
I mean, he does.
Yeah, he kind of does. But he goes, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, he is like a 1, and then he gets the number. He gets the 10 on the food selection. Wow.
Well, I know that he'd be prepared to eat with me and there'd be no judgment. Again, part of the food selection, and again, you probably can't see it without scrolling, is its food management and their kind of overall approach to eating and thoughts. Like, he wouldn't have a scale for me. He'd be like, girl, get that second helping of barbecue. Get on up there.
But he's got some other things in his favor. I mean, a 7 in the fun factor, a 6 in intelligence. I mean, he's got some characteristics there, but you just can't quite get over that initial appearance, can you?
It's just sometimes too, like, I'm not a small person. So like, you just got to represent and do the best you can with what you got. And I think sometimes he does not do that. He's a little bit sloppy in some of his dress. I think he could do better.
Okay.
He's got a lot of money.
He does have a lot of money. He does. Texas shows up next. Steve Sarkisian, right in the middle of the pack here. Gets a 10 in the fun factor. Yeah, I concur. only a 2, though, in the healthy versus toxic category.
He's got a lot of stuff going on in his life.
He does.
I mean, I think he's probably kind of an entertaining coach if he's your coach, but I don't know about his management of his personal life.
Yeah. Tried to influence a ref at USC in 2014. Might be fun, but reckless based on past behaviors. Bonus points because he did face substance abuse issues, which he did. So 47 total points for him. Steve Sarkisian. Big year for him. He needs to have a good year, I think. Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State shows up. That's not a bad place for him to be on the positive side of the middle part of this. What did you like about him? Wow.
Well, he's another one. I mean, he's a big O-line guy and looks like one. Big beefy dude.
You like that.
He also would not have a scale or be too worried about what I'm getting into.
No.
So I appreciate that about him. Seems like a good guy. I think his job security is very limited at this point.
Yeah. That's a down tick. Although he's the first one to show up with 2 10s, food selection and share the drive.
Yeah, I think he'd be a good guy, and he'd be like, hey, I'm not letting you do all that driving. Move on over.
Well, this is a very credible performance by Jeff. I mean, he's got a couple 4s as his lowest. Attractiveness is one of his low numbers at a 4, the other one being charisma. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's probably very consistent, but maybe not the most exciting.
That's pretty good. Yeah, okay. Well, he's in other words, you're not just necessarily going to look at him and immediately just diss him, though. He would make the first cut at this point.
Yes, the looks are not the only consideration. There's more to it.
All right, we're getting down. Let's see how many we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, it's final 8 here. Pete Golding, who got bumped up to permanent head coach at Ole Miss. Can look a little sloppy, but looks upgraded at SEC Media Days. He did have the DUI in 2020.
I mean, I try to think about arrests too, because it's just
criminal background check. Yeah,
not a good thing. But he looked pretty cute on SEC Media Days, I gotta say. He improved the most. Like, sometimes he gets that real out of control, scraggly, mullety look with his top on, and it's kind of looks unkempt.
Well, he's got a 9. He's got a 9 in fun factor. He's got an 8 in attractiveness. He's got an 8 in conversation, an 8 in food selection, and 8 in charisma. I mean, he's probably wondering, really, I'm 8th? There's 7 guys better than me? Boy, this chick has just got some high expectations, right?
I do. I expect a lot from my SEC coaches.
Yeah, you do. You're like the relentless AD. You're like the president who's just not going to let them breathe. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, they get paid a lot. They have a lot to handle.
They do have a lot to handle. All right. Coming in next, number 7, Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri. 10 on the fun factor. He fails in attractiveness, though. Extreme side part. Needs a hair makeover. Oh, Polish American bonus. There you go. There you go.
I mean, he's kind of snarky. He's got some wit about him that I like. And I think he knows that he's sort of a nerd in a SEC head coaching gig. And I think he knows that it's not what people expect. I mean, if you saw him out in Walmart, you wouldn't be like, oh, I bet that guy's an SEC football coach.
True. You think he'd be at Walmart, Eli Drinkwitz? Hey, I need a new pair of tennis shoes. So I think I'm going to go to get some Skechers.
I mean, I don't know. Darius Rucker goes to Walmart, I've heard from personal sources in South Carolina.
That's cool. I like that. I love Walmart. I mean, I'm just saying. He got a 10 in fun factor. And again, he's got a 9 in food selection. He did well. He did very well. All right. To show that Jen is not biased as you think she might be, here is Shane Beamer showing up outside of the top 5. What about it? Let's get into it a little more in depth. He gets the 10 in the shared drive, and his low number is in attractiveness. And I think a lot of that's probably buoyed by the bald spot.
No. I don't care about that. He's fine that way. It's just, it's a competitive process. He has others that he's competing against.
Let me see. I'm trying to see the needs daily PR manager still needed to be way more Gamecocky. All right, so describe that. What does that mean?
His outfit at SEC Media Days brought me displeasure. It was a full gray suit with a white shirt with a gray tie, and it had like a little splash of Gamecock garnet in the pocket square. And I was like, we're not gray. No. It was very gray.
So he was barely wearing South Carolina colors?
Yeah. And I do think he has a lot of pride in South Carolina. I will give him that. And I think he's a great ambassador for us. And that made me sad. I was like, come on. I mean, I don't expect the old school Gamecock garnet blazer look, but give us a little more. Represent.
I'd be a little troubled by that too if I were you. Kind of tells me that guy's mindset is, I'm not going to be here after this year, right? I mean, that's weird not to have you. Like you said, I would wear like either a black suit or I'd have a garnet. The garnet suit would look good with like I don't know, right? You could wear
or even like if he wanted to do
the jacket. Anyway, right?
Yeah, it could do that. Or I envision like a light gray suit with some maybe the plaid that has the Gamecock garnet in it. It incorporates in it in the garnet tie or something. Go hard with it.
Yeah, I'm with you. 59 total points for Shane.
I mean, that's
all right.
Top Arkansas.
That's good.
Arkansas with 30.
Yeah, Silverfield had 35. It shows you the difference here. 35 for Ryan Silverfield. So there you go. All right, now we're in the top 5. So all 5 of these dudes would get encouragement by Jen to, hey, let's do this again. Let's try this again. Yeah, I had a good time. I could see you again, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the top 5, you could figure this out. Yeah. And Clark Lee comes up number 5 for Vanderbilt. I mean, pretty impressive. 10 on the fun factor, 10 on the shared drive. He's got 1, 2, 3 8s and a 9 in intelligence. I mean, nice suit at SEC Media Days. Didn't love the tie. Needs more charisma up in the gym as well. So, yeah, Coach Lee, that guy's right there on your list.
He looks good in his suit.
He's number 5 on this. He's got 64 points. Now, he ties technically. So maybe we should say it's tie for 4th is how we'll do this.
I would say one thing about him that I like is he doesn't seem like he would be real snitty. He seems like he would be a very logical kind of guy, like good about communication. Like I'm assuming he's married now. I have not researched this, but he would be like, "Hey, Jen, I have to talk to my ex-wife," because by then she would be his ex-wife.
Correct.
I got to talk to her real quick. I'll be back. Like, if,
Yeah.
I don't care. Just tell me what you're doing. Like, I mean, I know you have a past, and I would like that. Like, I think a lot of men are really weird about stuff like that, and you don't need to be. Just bring it.
No, all that matters is what's in front of you now.
That's right. He'd be a grown up. Like
He's
a sophisticated grown up.
Right. The present and our future, potentially. That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Who gives a damn? Everything that happened in the
shake
past.
His head.
Correct. Everything that happened in the past is what's brought us here now in this moment.
That's right. You're the sum of all your experiences.
Correct.
Okay. And you shaved your head and you're proud. Like,
he did.
You don't care. You just shaved it. And I like that. Just do that.
And he's worked hard. Yes. He's climbed the ladder and he's doing a good job at Vanderbilt. He is. All right. No, I have not, PK. Not yet, but I will just for you. All right. I got to be honest. I'm a little surprised. Not that he's in the top 5, but I thought it'd be much higher. As a matter of fact, this was my candidate to be numero uno. But ladies and gentlemen, Lane Kiffin shows up at number 4. He's also got 64 points. Of course, the 10 on charisma, the 10 on conversation, the 10 on fun factor, 9 on attractiveness. As a matter of fact, Lane Kiffin is number 1 on the attractive scale for Jen. But yet here he is at number 4. Wow.
And do you see why that is?
Skinny Lane putting on some muscle would be terrible. Toxic boyfriend with highs and lows. Too much of a well, you don't need the roller coaster, is what you're telling me.
No, too much drama. He got I think did I give him a 1 in the healthy versus toxic?
He got the bottom number. Yeah, he got the 1 that brought him down.
Yeah, it's too much going on there.
But boy, everything else is really strong. If it wasn't for, and if he'd have just showed up like at a 6, a 5 or 6 in healthy toxic, he's that changes everything with him.
He's got no loyalty even to employers. He's just he's all over the place, and he treats his women like that too.
Yeah, number 3, Kirby Smart from Georgia. He's got a couple of 10s. He's got a 9. Old school class, charming, successful. Looks like the old Dr. Pepper man. He does.
That'd be fun, and I think he'd be good sport about putting on the visor. Like, okay, like Friday night we're sitting around not during the season, during the rest of the year, and I'm like, hey baby, we put on the Dr. Pepper suit for me.
Yeah, and he would.
Let's have a drink and put that thing on. I'm making Manhattan, and he'll be like, okay,
does the visor bother you at all? You don't mind the visor?
I mean, for joking around. I mean, Steve Spurrier, my other fiance.
True.
It's associated with him.
Signetti doesn't even wear a hat.
Yeah, I like that. He does his own thing.
A 10 in the shared drive, a 10 in the healthy versus toxic. He gets a 9 in charisma. He's got 2 other 9s, intelligence, conversation. I mean, you think a lot of Kirby.
Well, I would say the best way to describe him is he's a grown-ass man. Like, he's just got his act together, which is interesting because I think he and Will Muschamp are the same age, and Will does not seem grown, as we would say in the South. So it's not just a function of age, but it's a function of your station in life and how you embrace it. And I think he's just very comfortable in himself, and you can see that. I like that a lot about him.
He's one of Saban's all-time favorite former assistants. I mean, there's a reason that he's arguably one of the top 2 or 3 coaches in the country right now, right?
Yeah, but he's not that hot, really. And I don't know how often he's in the gym, but he's trying a little bit, and I appreciate that. He's doing something.
Well, that brings us to the top 2, and if you can't remember all these coaches off the top of your head, you may not know. And this almost surprising me as much as where Lane Kiffin showed up. Mike Elko, Number 2 with 3 10s. He's 49, but looks old.
He
Smart.
definitely does not look 49. I thought he was 60.
He is smart. Would not bring a scale and would love me in all my weight variations. Food selection 10, healthy versus toxic 10, shared drive 10. My goodness, intelligence 9, conversation 9. Ooh, the attractiveness dinged him, didn't it? With 4.
Yeah, he needs to take better care of himself. That the aging process will not be kind to him unless he steps it up right now, as we've all learned, those of us who are also in that age range.
Yeah.
That is no time to be coasting. He's got to do more. And I honestly was shocked to hear him reference, well, when I turn 50, I'm going to do this. And I almost dropped everything and just stared at the screen. I was like, what? Because I seriously did think he was 60 at least.
It does feel like it, doesn't it? It kind of does. Kind of does. Well, that brings us to the top spot. And if he wasn't already motivated by the fact that people think he's got a top 10 team, and many people are saying on paper he's assembled the best defense in the country, now he's got another reason to be skipping around, right? Just hanging around Norman, Oklahoma, because Brent Venables wins the dating pool with Jen the Gamecock Girl. Number 1. The marks are incredibly impressive. I mean, he gets these kind of marks as a coach. He's winning the Natty. He's my age, Jen says, but he looks really good. He's fit, positive vibes, fun fraternity guy. Could get over his Clemson past. That would be something you would have to discuss, wouldn't it?
It is, but it's not a deal breaker with him. He's wearing a shade of Gamecock Garnet now, a cousin.
Cousin of Garnet.
So that helps. He's SEC now. So I've just got to look at him as family that way and just sort of forget about the other thing.
Shared drive a 10. He's a 10 in healthy versus toxic. He gets 9s in charisma, conversation, the fun factor, also attractiveness. Wow. He and Lane share the high marks in attractiveness.
Yeah, I mean, he looks good.
I mean, he's got his lowest marks a 7. This is why he won. This is why he's number 1. Food selection. So you think maybe you might have a little disappointment from time to time?
I feel like he's on the verge of ribbing out, and he needs to be careful about that. He's very fit, but he's on that line of the rib out situation, and I don't know. I have a suspicion. I have not looked him up. I don't know how old he is exactly. That would be good to know if you can quickly Google. But I suspect his wife is kind of a trophy wife type. And when guys dig that, then they're sort of on the food monitoring. Like if you've got a trophy wife, your SEC coach, you kind of like talk about all the time about how hot your wife is and how, hey, I can recruit. Look, I recruited this hot wife. Ha ha. If you do all that, then you're kind of maybe watching what your woman's eating. And I don't like that. I don't dig that. I like a man who has a real wife, like Saban's wife, Miss Terry. She's a real lady. She's not all plastic and
55, it says.
Okay.
He's 55.
Yeah.
Okay. He's fine. He's not. Yeah. That's perfect. That's perfect. 55. Brent Venables. Wow. I'm that guy. He's got a lot going for him. He's got a lot going for him because now, did they visit South Carolina this year, or do you go there?
No, we go there.
Oh, I was going to say, if he was coming down to Columbia, I mean, you're ready to go, Coach. Let's go. You were number 1. Let's see how this goes.
I don't know how tall he is either. I'd like to know that information, but going into this process before I watched SEC Media Days, I would have not had him at the top of my list. So that shows you how the process
your research, yes,
unveiled the winners. Same with Elko. I mean, I was kind of like you, where I was thinking, well, Lane's got a good chance to win this thing.
Yeah, and I thought maybe you're right. You dinged him in all the proper aspects, but I thought maybe Lane would rise above that just because of how he is. I thought maybe be like, you know what, girls, He is so much fun. I know what you're saying, Marcia. I get it. Okay. You keep telling me he's going to come down and make me feel bad one day, but right now we're having a blast. I thought maybe that would burn out, but you're not superficial like that.
I probably would have changed my perspective on that later in life. Maybe if you would ask me when I was younger, my 30s, I would have been like, yeah, let's go. Because, you're very carpe diem oriented at that point. But I feel like now it's just not worth it to me. Too much
6'1". Wayne says he's 6'1". Oh, well, there you go. There you go.
Okay. I mean, I sometimes I kind of like guys who are about my height or shorter, to be honest. But it's okay. I can deal with that. But I prefer a little shorter than that. I know a lot of people say 6 feet is the must, but I'm not one of those people. I don't mind if guys are shorter than I am. I like it.
For me, this makes a great point. Like, let's say you're at the rehearsal dinner for your wedding and you introduce Lane to your very, very attractive matron of honor. Well, you're going to find out probably later that night, or where are they both the next day? Well, Lane has taken her somewhere, right? That's what Lane would,
yeah, he's going to not ever be trustworthy ever, in my opinion, unless he has some kind of major epiphany. Of course, he claimed to have had one at Ole Miss with his lifestyle and changing, becoming spiritual, and not really. So, I think he'd be real fun for a night or two, but that's about it.
Look, you have been in the SEC much longer than I have. I mean, you know what the co-ed contingent looks like at most of these schools.
Yeah, I mean, just walking around and driving around South Carolina since the start of school, it's unreal, like the way the women look here, the young women. I definitely did not look like that when I was a student, nor dressed like that. I mean, they are working it. I look like that. I would wear a spandex pair of shorts, booty shorts, and bikini top pretty much 24/7.
With their book bag on.
Yeah, I would wear that too. I mean, they look
and if you were Miss Kiffin, you just got to wonder every day, oh, well, have a good day, honey. I know you will, right?
Well, I mean, even the hottest women in Hollywood, their men cheat and go away. And, hotness only lasts so long.
Correct.
You
need the intangibles. You need the Brent Venables intangibles. That's
why it's not one column of attractiveness. That's why all those other things matter. You just end up in these situations where you're like, why did I do this to myself again and again and again?
Did Coach Venables get any marks because he's such a defensive whiz? Did that come into play? Because he's one hell of a defensive coach. He really is.
I do like that. I will admit too, I have a little bit of like a connection to him because he's got like the reverse Shane Beamer-itis where like we're having problems in odd years and we do well in even years since Beamer's been here, and he's the reverse. So everyone's kind of saying like, maybe they'll get overhyped and they won't be what they're projected to be because he's kind of similar to Beamer, and that's a every other year cycle.
That's fair.
He looks like a guy who takes time to take care of himself. He values that. I think that's important modeling for players too, for students of that age and doing what they do. Because I think if you just like stop, like, okay, I'm going to pick on Heupel a minute. I mean, he was a quarterback and he was really good for a long time. And now he's just sort of like, well, whatevs, here we are. And he could do better with that and model like a lifetime of good health and good habits with his.
And what I like about him too, if I'm remembering, first couple of years he was in Oklahoma, he didn't have immediate success. It took a little while to get things going, and he was steadfast. He said, yeah, I'm here now. This is a place that we're supposed to have a certain level, and I need to do that. And he did not whine about it. He just accepted it. I mean, and now look where they are. I mean, they're expected to have a monster season this year. So
I do think he's, obviously really a smart guy and good at what he does.
He's very good at what he does.
Yeah. So I admire him for that. I just don't want to hang out with him and make him eggs the next day.
Just saying that the top three guys that you have here are all defense. You've got Venables, Elko, and Smart. So you're kind of attracted to defense a little bit.
Well, I think defense, yeah, it's kind of, like once you understand the game more. I mean, I think when you're new to caring about football, you're attracted to the flash of offense. But once you start to really get into it more, the defense is sexy.
Yeah. Stopping people, making some hard hits. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the picture you have on your wall is the David Clowney hit against Michigan. It's not some long run for a touchdown. So I think we were kind of chiseling away here.
I mean, that to me will forever be one of the most exciting moments of Gamecock football ever. So maybe that's influenced my opinion a bit.
Maybe so.
But
so here we go. Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
Now we've got this done. So next week we start the picks. Is that the plan?
Next week we get into week 1 picks. We do. So 71 total points for Brent Venables. He's number 1. Mike Elko at 67. Kirby Smart actually tied for second. 67 points. Lane Kiffin ties for third with Clark Lee, 64 points. So if you get 60 or above, I mean, those 5 guys are in a good spot with this lady. Shane Beamer in his bald spot at 59. Eli Drinkwitz in Missouri, 58. Pete Golding, 57. Jeff Lebby, who's, if they had better job security, maybe a little higher, 56 for him. And then we get down into the no-names. Steve Sarkisian, Josh Heupel, Alex Golish, all 47 or below. Will Stein at Kentucky, although, as Jen said, very attractive physically.
I would not say very attractive.
A 7? He got a 7?
He's all right, but he's got age on his side. He's so young. Everybody looks good when you're that age.
And then Kalen DeBoer, highest name on here is Kalen DeBoer, the Alabama coach, at the bottom, I mean. And then you got John Summerall and Ryan Silverfield. Wow. No chance with Jen, Ryan Silverfield.
Ryan 0. is so cheese-tastic. So bad. Ugh. Could not. Sorry, Ryan. I miss Sam Pittman.
I know you do. I think it says a lot about Arkansas' season when they were number 1 last year on your list with Sam Pittman, and now Ryan Silverfield dead last. So they're going to have a terrible year.
Well, yeah, Sam's available. Maybe Sam wants to come tailgate with me sometime.
What's ironic? Last year when all this happened, right after Brent Pry was gone and they got into starting to organize a search, Big Ten guy told me Ryan Silverfield was one of the early names that Tech was going to look into potentially. It didn't happen, but I'm just saying he was a guy that was, Ryan Silverfield, he's a rising young guy. And then they realized, wait a minute, we did that before with, Justin Fuente.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is in doing a little research about this too, it was kind of fun to read everybody's backstories and where they played college or where they were from. And there were so many of them, I just had not really thought about it before, but there were so many of them who started in coaching because they were injured in high school or college. And I think Ryan, if I remember correctly, he went to college in Virginia, right? Did he go to Hampton-Sydney?
I think he went to Hampton-Sydney, yeah. Yeah, I think.
And he was.
That was part of the connection, yeah.
Yeah, was involved in doing some coaching there because he'd been injured in high school. I want to say Jacksonville. This is how much I learned about these people. I think he went to private school in Jacksonville, Florida, and was injured playing for like the all-state championship, or I'm sorry, the state championship. And then he just transitioned immediately into coaching or something. So it seemed like that was a story in a lot of them, that they had career-ending injuries and then flipped over from that. And I had not really thought about that before, but it was interesting to see their path, where I think before I'd done all that research, my assumption would have been that all of them were just so successful at playing football, then, eventually they would be recruited to coach in some way, but that's not really the case in the majority of them.
Well, your research was very impressive. The spreadsheet.
I know. Who thought I would know so much about the one that came in last and his path to coaching? But that shows how much work I did. And that to me was fascinating to read about a lot of it. And like I knew Clark Lee, I knew that he was a Vanderbilt grad, but I did not know he studied political science, and learned about him. I think he's got his master's in poli-sci. So I learned all kinds of stuff. So I really enjoyed doing it. It was a fun process.
Yeah, it seems like you did. You had a lot more categories this year. Or am I mistaken? Did you have that many categories last year?
There were a lot, but they were more superficial probably because remember the music playlist was one of them last year.
No, that's true. That's true.
But it was a little harder for me to assume music taste. So I removed that, but I just try to start anew with my process, use Excel spreadsheet from the start.
In my process.
Got real serious about it. I feel like I'm the Phil Steele now of this process.
All right. So we're making our picks next week. All right. The picks are next week.
I just want to remind you too that the last 2 times we've done it, that I was able to be victorious in our season picks.
Or so you say with your tabulations. I'm going to keep tabs this year.
Okay.
I think you got a little bit of Lane Kiffin in you with these with these totals.
No, that's bad. Am I going to get a 1 out of 10 for being toxic?
I'm not going to discount out Lane Kiffin with you, young lady. I think you might just tell your girlfriends, I'm going to keep on seeing this guy. Right?
Well, I would say Lane is the kind of guy, like if I'd had a few bourbons after a big Gamecock win and he was in my pass, I might send him you still up?
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, are you home this weekend? What are you doing right now?
You want to come over?
What are you doing right now?
A little bit. He might be that recurring theme kind of person.
He would be your booty call.
I mean, maybe he might be good for that.
Lane Kiffin would be your best. Just say it. Yeah.
I mean, it might always be a little something, and then we come over.
Oh, it was great.
He's the best guy. I should have never stopped seeing him, and we would have like a really fun time. And then he would do something jerky, like I'd go to make him breakfast and I'd come back and his phone is face up, and then there's a message from the chick he's talking with, and it's like, "What time are we eating lunch?" Or like he's immediately making plans for the next thing. It would be like that.
Blair says hello from Christiansburg, Jen.
Oh, hey, Blair. It's fun when the Christiansburg people check in. I do like that a lot.
I love you as a Blue Demon.
Oh, I'm a proud Blue Demon.
Well, it's a very impressive list. Very impressive list.
Thank you.
That was terrific.
Thank you.
And Brent Venables is going to get wind of this as they prepare for their first week, and he's going to be on cloud nine. Whenever he goes to South Carolina, he's got a standing date apparently.
Well, I had considered going to that game, and I just checked before all this. I don't want you to feel like it's tied to this process, but I had considered going, and I checked in there. Maybe I could do it. I don't know. That's a possibility.
All right, real quick, let's get warmed up. Two games tomorrow. Carolina, TCU. Who's winning? Let's just go off the cuff. Go. Let's go. These don't count on our numbers.
The other Carolina?
Yeah, the other Carolina.
Sorry,
North Carolina.
Bill Belichick would be last on my list probably also. So I get TCU.
And Virginia and North Carolina State.
I just read something about Virginia having tons of injuries. I mean, I think they've got like 14 players out or something.
Yeah, I'm going Wolfpack tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I have to do that based on what I saw about that injury thing.
Yep. Going Wolfpack tomorrow. All right, well, listen.
Thank you for the reminder. I totally forgot.
You got week 0 tomorrow. It's our last week 0. We get into week 1. Yeah.
I've been busy.
I know. I know. All right. Well, good luck with your doctor appointment, and thank you for maneuvering your schedule. This was a lot of fun, as always.
Thank you. I'm sorry it was so last minute. I completely forgot. I appreciate you accommodating. Thank you.
Always flexible for you, Jennifer. You know that.
Oh, you called me Jennifer, like the full name.
I did.
Okay. That's a big deal because you usually call me Jen.
I know. I did. That's when things are getting serious.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. Yeah. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your football. Enjoy your football. Have fun with your football this weekend, whatever you decide to consume. And next week we'll begin our picks.
I got a fantasy draft tomorrow in Greenville, South Carolina. So that'll be nice.
Oh yeah. Keep us updated on that. All right, dear. Stay safe.
Love you.
Great job. Mwah. Be good. There you go. Jen the Gamecock girl. Great job with her most dateable to least dateable. Actually, it was least dateable to most dateable SEC coaches. Ryan Silverfield, get lost, buddy. Brent Venables, congratulations. You are the king. We'll see you, dear. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Jen the Gamecock girl joining us on the program. Good stuff. That was fun. We had to maneuver Jen early. She has a doctor's appointment. Coach Phil Elmassian in hour number 3. I want to thank, I haven't had a chance to do this yet, thanks to Family Fencing, sponsor of our studio. Thanks to McClellan Chiropractic, our always poppin' chat room. Thanks to Mark Hunley. Professional Door Incorporated, Travis Williams. Our text line never stops. We do have a winner, an all-time best NFL coach, but I'm going to hang on to it for a little while. We had over 80 votes. It was awesome. Thanks to Pulaski County Sports Entertainment, the presenting sponsor of this program. We appreciate them greatly. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. The attorney Ryan Pry, who sponsors that BDST fan question of the week, 701 West Main Street in Radford, Trust and Estate Planning. National Bank member FDIC, partner of me and this program. Thanks to the Ready Set Fund. Thanks to Bob Christ 11 at Gmail. Sundown Electric down in Elliston, the best electrical company in the biz. The NRB Super Bowl, 540-382-5525. Still looking for their youth leagues to be full. And I met James Lawson yesterday, Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. Great guy, big tech fan. Give James a call, 540-381-8010, manufactured parts for your home. We got a brand new sponsor announcement next Tuesday. And then the following week, another one coming. So we got a lot going on. Blacksburg High School football will debut on this channel tonight. Landon Weaver, Richard Terry on the call. The Bruins take on Giles, a huge traditional rivalry in the New River Valley. And you can hear it tonight beginning at 6:30. My goodness gracious. All right. This is going to be a lot of fun because usually we have this gentleman on a Friday when he's just sitting around being the magnanimous Mike Ashley that he is. Tonight with a this morning with a fishing hat. Nicely done. What's up, Mike? How are you?
Bucket hat. Coach McKay, USC. Long way home. Long way brewing there. Yeah.
And then we get...
They're not a title sponsor, but, you know.
No, that's fine. Well, we are working on something with Keith, so we'll see.
Cool.
We'll see what happens there.
I've worked on something with Keith there at the place, too, but that's a whole other story.
Are you okay, by the way?
I'm great. Yeah.
Tommy Litter told me to tell you hello. He did the first half of the soccer game with me last night.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And he was actually sober, which was great.
Taught me a lot about that game.
And we welcome in this gentleman. If anybody knows the scribes of local community coverage, it's Ralph Barrier. What is going on, Ralphie? Good to see you, brother.
Hey, Rick. You fellow former Radford Ted McCoskey radio production acolyte, you.
I was. Exactly, I was.
Hey, Mikey.
How you been, man?
I'm good. Just, enjoying post-newspaper life here in Roanoke, Virginia.
Yeah, well, you look outstanding. I think I think I saw you at Radford baseball game early in the year. I think that's the last time I saw you in person. I was busy. We were rushing to the broadcast. Hey, Ralph, I gotta go.
Yeah. I try to catch some games. Coach Guerra's doing a great job there, and you do a great job. It's really nice to be able to watch Radford baseball games and other sporting events, on TV and have you do them.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. We had fun last night. And then I'm so excited because one of my all-time favorite people, somebody I always read no matter what he was writing about, ladies and gentlemen, the legendary Ray Cox joins us. Ray, how in the world are you, my friend? Man, you talk about looking great. Look at you. What's up?
Thank you very much. I've got to make sure my volume is set up right. I'm having a little bit of hard time hearing y'all, but I'm okay.
You sound
it's
great.
a little bit early for me, but glad to be here.
Well, guys, you got a lot going on, Mike. Well, you know what, Mike? We're going to let you kind of, control this forum. Absolutely. I'm just going to sit here and be like I'm going to kind of be like, Carson on the old Tonight Show now and just kind of laugh and fill in when I'm needed to.
What was it that killed off Big Dog Sports Talk?
Yeah, exactly. Mike Ashley.
Yeah.
This reminds me, though. I mean, this is what I used to live for at lunchtime when I was lunch information director at Radford University, and I'd put together an august crew as often as I could to go out. So, this is like old days at Taco Inn or something. There, pass the sauce, okay? Anyway, getting Ray back and seeing Ray again is such a treat for those of us. Ralph and I were both in a group that we called ourselves Coxians, because when we sat down to type those football stories after those games, in a hurry to meet the deadline, because back then when I started, there were 3 different deadlines at the Roanoke Times. The early one, the Bulldog, and then, when you get into the New River Valley, that area, and then down into to Roanoke, the last one there. We'd sit down because we had, like you, Rick, we had read Ray so much that voice was, he was like the Keith Jackson of the writers there. That voice was in our head. So you'd sit down, I'd run into the bureau over in Christiansburg and get one of those big computers I didn't know how to use, where I would usually lose my story before I got it sent. And I would sit there on a night when Giles County, that voice was always in my head. So anyway, let me kick it off by asking Ray some questions here. Ray, what are some of your best memories of covering high school football in the River Valley?
Oh, wow.
Well, let me, if I'm allowed to get personal, let me show you a photograph here, which will sort of get us. I don't know if y'all can see this. This is me. And the young man over my shoulder there is Hatcher Cox, who was my youngest of 2. He is, I'm going to say he's somewhere between 8 and 10 in this picture. This is the late 90s. The picture's taken by the great Alan Kim, who was a staff photographer for the Roanoke Times. And we're at a Giles football game. You can see the shirt sleeves and everything, despite the fact this is late November. This is a state semifinal game between Giles and Powell Valley. And Powell Valley was a superpower back in those days, had a running back by the name of Julius Jones, who you might have heard of. He later played for the Dallas Cowboys and others, and he went to Notre Dame. And Hatcher was totally impressed with this young man, as well he should be. And we debated for years after. Whether Julius was better than his older brother Thomas, and Hatcher always took the Julius claim, and I always went with Thomas. But he'd seen them both. I took him down when he was even younger. I took him down to Bullitt Park in Big Stone Gap. and watched a playoff game again with Giles. And it was mud. It was cold. It was just, typical far south West Virginia playoff. Powell Valley won. Thomas had a magnificent game. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Giles came back a couple years later and beat beat Powell Valley and Julius on a tremendously nasty, muddy field up at Giles. And I can't remember. I'm sorry. My memory has gotten to be pretty poor, so I'm a bad guest on this. But anyway, we debated back and forth for years and years, still debated. Hatcher went on to a better life. I mean, he was exposed to way too much sports as a child. And his older sister, Arden Spencer, as well. They often went with me to games, and we never were anywhere but on the sidelines. And so he and I were, and she too, Arden Spencer. Arden Spencer was my sidekick at track meets, and we, back in the old days that Mike was just describing, we had this primitive technology, and to cover a large track meet, we reporters were required to type out the agate, which is newspaper speak for the small type that goes with a track meet. So we would have the entire results of the track meet, that we would have to produce. And I've never been a very good typist. And Arden Spencer, my daughter, was an excellent typist, and she loved track. And so she'd go to the track meets with me, and she'd type out all this agate while I wrote my story, and it saved me hours of time. So my two children were, they were my sidekicks in some of this, and we had a good time. And Hatcher's gone on to a better life. He's now a surgeon. He's right here in Roanoke. He is a hand specialist, and he works for Lewis Gale. He and his wife both are surgeons, and Mandy. And they have two children, Charles, which is our family name, a Cox name, and Reed. And then Arden Spencer lives down the hill from me in the house that I grew up in, and she's got two boys as well. We're going to be celebrating a third birthday tomorrow for the youngest. So, but we've had a lot of fun together, and so there you go.
Nice.
But that's my memory. One time I took them both down to Danville, and an unusual year. Timesland, as we used to call the Roanoke Times area, was not represented by a state championship contender. So Danville was playing Annandale at home. This was back in the days when there was no neutral field. It was played on home fields. And we went down to this game, and the sky was like that high. I mean, it was like black darkness. It was a day game. Lights were on the whole time. Annandale won the game, and Hatcher was probably 4. Arden Spencer was 6, something like that. And they were right on the sidelines, and I'd hold their hands and jerk them out of the way when, some huge running back came flying off the field. But anyway, we've had some really good times. But the thing that I remember as much about having both of them there was the Annandale team. I looked down the roster at this team. I'd not seen them. I'd seen Danville, GW. And, by the way, excuse me, I should correct myself. I say Danville, and everybody identifies it as GW Danville. There's no such thing. They're the only GW. So,
that's right.
And so they get very irritated when they hear George Washington Danville. So anyway, Annandale, I started looking down the roster at this team, and they were a terrific team. I mean, they were tough. They did everything right. They played in the mud. They were just outstanding. And I look down the names, and here's a Russian name. Here's a Vietnamese name. Here's a Japanese name. Here's a Bosnian name, on and on and on. It was the most incredible collection of high school athletes that you could possibly imagine. And so many of these kids you knew were like first generation Americans. And, you know, I know there's been a big controversy about immigration in this country, as I think we're all familiar with, but that's what immigration should do for you: produce good Americans and football players. And so there you go. Enough of that.
Ralph, what do you got? I know your heyday covering, I think, was the touchdown Tommy Edwards era in Bradford.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at this panel and you play the old game, which one of these things is not like the other? It's me. I mean, I don't have the high school football coverage experience that you have, Mike, or certainly not Ray. And Rick is called so many games going back. We won't say how many years now.
No, let's not do that. Let's not do that.
I covered high school sports in a very limited time, but it was an interesting time to cover it because it was sort of at the tail end. It was almost the end of the New River District. The New River District still existed when I covered them. It was 6 teams when I started, and it was 4 teams within a year or two. But yeah, it was a very special time for me to be at the old Radford News Journal, which at the time, as hard as this may be to believe, was 5 days a week, 5-day-a-week paper. And the sister paper in Christiansburg, the News Messenger, was 6 days a week at one point. So, you know, we were churning out copy and covering every high school sport, every team, you know, everything that was going on, every 8th grade game, JV game, you know, it would get in the newspaper back in those days. And yeah, I was blessed to cover Norm Lindenberg's great teams of the early 90s when Tommy Edwards was the star. Wayne Lindenberg, Norm's youngest son, was the quarterback. Paul, the third in the Lindenberg line, played quarterback one year. Saw some great games, saw a spectacular game in 91, Radford and Blacksburg, a high-scoring battle that Radford won. And then the classic game, the state semifinals in 1991, when Radford came from way down in the fourth quarter and tied the game with about 6 seconds to go on a touchdown pass from Wayne Lindenberg to Chris Harrison and a Casey Underwood PAT. And then they lost in overtime to Jefferson Forest, who went on to lose the state championship game the next week. So, yeah, but I was there it was sort of as Coach Lindenberg was about to go into his next act, where Radford would be one of the teams that would leave the New River District because of its enrollment. And then the New River District would fold by 1996. And so I was sort of seeing the twilight era then.
That smaller New River District, there's an interesting story about the preseason poll you conducted that I always liked.
Yeah. Well, one thing about being at the News Journal in those days and having to produce so much copy 5 days a week, you sort of kind of got to do what you wanted to do, or you had to make up stuff, you know, to fill the space, you know, what's going to be interesting for readers today. And so I started running a coaches poll, a preseason coaches poll where, and Ray remembers these days, that the August before high school football season started was maybe the busiest time of the year because everybody produced preseason sections, special supplemental sections. The Roanoke Times did a huge one. The News Journal did one. You know, they were good to fill with advertising. And so you were spending all of August writing these previews, writing these coaches down at Abingdon and Virginia High School who were going to be on the schedule, and you'd want to write little scouting reports for your special section that was coming out before the season started. And so I did a coaches poll in the New River District, which was not very hard to do because you only had to contact 4 coaches by that point. That's what it was down to. And I think this was about 1990. And I was talking to the legendary Radford assistant coach, Rufus Buddy Shull. I was telling him that, hey, I did a coaches poll and I got the results back for them. You want to hear them? And Buddy said to me, tell me they didn't pick us first, did they? And I said, no, you're not picked first. And he said, those SOBs didn't pick us last, did they?
There were only 4 teams, buddy. There were 4 teams.
Only 4
You're not
teams.
picked last either. Yeah, so he didn't want to be picked first, and boy, he didn't want to be picked last either. So
I love that.
And there was some great, everybody remembers a lot of the head coaches, like obviously Norman Lindenberg, Hall of Famer. But Ray can tell you there were so many colorful assistants, like Buddy Shaw. I mean, he was a character on the sideline for about as long as Norm was around on the sideline.
Let me add a Buddy Shaw story because we loved him. I'm gonna go back to a time that was before Ralph's time, and this is like early '80s. Matter of fact, it was the first season that I covered football for the Roanoke Times. That was 1981. And Radford had a really good team, and a lot of people expected them to contend for district, region, and state championships. And they were a fine, they had a fine group.
Yep.
And the first 3 games of the season were best described as lackluster. I think they were 2-1. And, the quarterback play was good, but it wasn't great. And Buddy got just furious. He was the defensive specialist, on the coaching staff, but he got furious at this because he didn't like, they were used to better than that at Radford. And he came in, and he might have been accompanied by some of his fellow coaches. Perhaps Tommy Heiss would have been one of them. And he confronted Norman Lindenberg in his office, and he said, Coach, we got to do something here. This team is not going to contend for anything unless we make some changes. And Coach goes, well, what you got in mind? And Buddy goes, we need to change the quarterback. And I was not present, but I can imagine Norman Lindenberg's face. I mean, he probably just got white as a ghost because I'm thinking about that kind of a major change 4 games into the season. And he said, well, who you got in mind? And Buddy goes, Robert. And Robert was Robert Lindenberg, the current athletic director at Radford University. And he said, Robert's got to be the quarterback, period. And Norman said, oh, man, I can't do that. And I'm sorry, that just can't happen. I mean, the community is going to go crazy because he's my son, and they're going to say, that I'm playing favorites, and I just can't do it. I'm sorry. And Buddy says, okay, fine. If you want to be that way, I quit. And Norman goes, well, wait a minute, you can't do that. And Buddy said, yeah, I can. He said, if I believe that the head coach doesn't want to win because he's not going to change the quarterback, then, we got nothing else to talk about. Well, guess what? They changed the quarterback. Robert was magnificent. He was absolutely terrific. Both sides of the ball, just couldn't have been better. And Radford went on a long winning streak, made the playoffs. I can't remember. I can't remember who they played in the regional final, but they got beat in the regional final. And so anyway, but Buddy wasn't going to stand for any foolishness at quarterback. So there you go.
I don't mean to turn this into a Radford fest, but the thing I remember most about covering games, particularly at Radford High School, was you had to get Coach Lindenberg on the field after the game. You could not wait for him to get in the locker room because they were never coming out of that locker room ever, because they would get in there and start singing the school fight song and telling stories and dancing. And if they won, and so you had to grab Coach Lindenberg on the field and get him there. And Ray brought up weather in a lot of games. And I know that was a big factor for a lot of us covering. I think I've told some of these stories before, but the one I don't think I've ever shared was I only lived a few blocks from Radford High School off Wadsworth Street, so I could cut through the back streets and be right there. So covering a game there was great because then I could go home and write my story there on the tandy on my kitchen table. And so I really kind of enjoyed that. But one night I was there and I didn't realize how much it rained earlier in the day. And so smart, younger, more svelte Mike Ashley up there on top of the hill on the home side, instead of taking the steps down, I thought I would go down that hill from up there on the concourse down to the track and onto the field. Oh no, Mike, feet up, boom, down, slid down the hill, covered my butt in mud, so much so that I decided, well, I can't have my butt facing the home crowd with these pants just completely sullied and soiled. So I drove home and changed clothes and got back for the kickoff. Anybody else have any problems like that at a game?
Well, this is, people want to hear more about football than they do about silly sports writer problems, but you're talking about the old Radio Shack Tandies, those flat computers that had a screen that was about 3 inches wide, and you could see 3 lines of type as it scrolled across as you typed it. And I had so many issues over the years of sending stories from press boxes, places like that, and
tell them about the couplers tell them about the couplers for the telephone.
Yep. Yeah, you had to have a landline with an old-fashioned phone, and you'd stick the couplers, which were basically just rubber suction cups on the phone, and you hit your story, and you'd see it scroll, like an old teletype machine or something go by. But yeah, I was covering. It was a Narrows Rural Retreat playoff game at Narrows one year, and this is after Narrows had left the New River District. But they were playing a playoff game at Narrows, and I got to the press box, and they didn't have a phone, and legendary coach Bill Pattison happened to be there, kind of, being the host in the press box and running things there. And he said, you need a phone? My granddaughter's got a phone for you. And I said, oh, that's great. So he went to his granddaughter's house, or had his granddaughter, a little girl, his granddaughter, bring the phone from her room. She had a personal phone in her room. Coach Pattison came up, and it was like one of those flat kind of yellow Barbie sort of phones that didn't have any sort of round speakers or anything on it. And I'm like, Coach, I can't fit the couplers on the Barbie phone to send it. I know what I was going to do. Well, who shows up but the legendary Robert Anderson, who at that time was still working for the Bristol Herald Courier. And he helped me use the direct input to send the story that way. So there was always some adventure. I was always like teetering my computer on a trash can while hooked into a payphone outside the strip mall to try to send a story because I couldn't find a phone. I got locked in high schools, and where I would frighten a janitor, wanted to know why I was there.
What are you doing in here?
Why am I in the coach's office this hour? So.
Oh, Ray, you have any good Coach Hicks stories? My coach.
It's. I went to his funeral, which was at Dobson Stadium, and the place was absolutely, there was as many people as you would ever expect to see at a funeral. And they brought, he had previously coached. Now, let me see, correct me here. If Woodrow, I think it was Woodrow Wilson and Beckley and somewhere else in West Virginia before he got to Pulaski. And they brought 2 of his teams from West Virginia in addition to alumni of the Cougars. And I mean, a tremendous number of players showed up for this. And I remember sitting there, and it was a pretty cold day, and watching these guys come down the long steps from the field house. And I mean, they just kept on coming. And like anytime you see a bunch of old football players, most of them are limping. And, most of these guys were limping, and they tell so many good stories. I mean, there was, Jack Turner, and I guess was one of the masters of ceremonies, and it was something to see. But I was with Coach Coach Hicks at his best moment and at his worst moment, and I was there when they won the state championship, and I have never seen a happier man in my life. No. I mean, he was just so happy, and tears were running down his face.
Yep.
And it was they had just beaten
Thomas Dale
and Ken Oxendine.
Kenny Oxendine.
And a bunch of studs, and I mean, it was a tremendous game, and it was at the University of Richmond, and so that was Coach's greatest moment probably, or at least in Virginia, and then I was there at his worst moment, which was in Victory Stadium, and they were playing William Fleming on a cold night, and one of his linemen, Lee Cook, took a freak hit to the chest and died on the field. And I didn't know it. I mean, it was like one of those things that he laid there for a while. They came and got him and took him off, and you think it's a football injury. And when and nothing happened. I mean, there was no real reaction anywhere. And I walked down to the opposite side of the field at the end of the game, which is where the Cougars locker room was. And Coach was just coming out of the door, and his wife was there, Mrs. Hicks, and he just fell into Mrs. Hicks's arms, and he said, Lee Cook is dead. And I mean, he was just sobbing, and and I had to. Bob Teitelbaum, the late Bob Teitelbaum was actually writing the story of the game, and I was writing, I guess, a sidebar. And so I called up to the press box and said, Bob, look, this player has died. This is a completely separate story. So I took that story and followed them over to Roanoke Memorial Hospital, which is on the other side of the river from Old Victory Stadium, and stood there at a payphone and completely dictated a story with no notes, no nothing, over the phone to somebody at the other end in the office who was typing the story as I was dictating it. But that's I think that may be the saddest thing I've ever seen in high school sports or any sports.
Yeah.
So
no doubt about it. David Smith, the Radford Hall of Famer, says, Ray, you wrote a lot of great articles for us at RU. Thank you so much for everything you did for Radford. I know, talking to Mike leading up to this, Ray, I miss you. You'd come on press row, sit near me there, and we'd talk before the game during commercials, man. You did a great job covering Radford, making us prominent, making us feel like, what we deserve to be covered. Having you there meant a lot more than you'll ever know, to be honest. It really was.
Well, I had a wonderful time doing it. One of my fondest memories, though, is Ralph Barrier, who was covering also the Highlanders for the Radford paper, and we would sit together at these games.
Yep.
And Doug Day, the famous sharpshooter from Blacksburg, got on one of those rolls, and he just kept on burying threes, and it seemed like it was like watching Curry. He'd back up farther and farther and farther, and the shots would get harder, higher and higher and higher. He was about to hit the top of the Dedman Center with some of these shots. And Ralph turns to me and said, he's insane. Somebody's got to stop him. Somebody has got to stop this man. He is out of his mind. And Ralph was totally impassioned by what we were seeing there.
He made 11 threes. He made 11 threes then.
That's correct. And as you remember, for a while he had the NCAA record for threes made career. And I think Doug's still coaching at Blacksburg. I'm not positive about that, but he was last time I checked. And, that's royalty right there, man.
Yeah, Curtis Staples from Roanoke went on to hold that record briefly too. And then
that's right.
When you think about J.J. Redick, I proudly tell people there is no region in America that it'd be tougher to win a game of horse than Southwest Virginia.
Yeah. Well, you might as well throw in a couple other guys because Rousey from Lexington, Rockbridge High School. He played at Marquette, and he was a 5'11" guard, and that dude could play. And he made a whole bunch of threes and scored a ton of points, in the early 2000s. He was a heck of a player. And then, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought again, but the two kids that led Fleming to the state championship in basketball, one of them just now finished having a camp in Roanoke, but he played in the
Damon
NBA.
And Raymond?
No, I'm sorry, I cannot. Anyway, it'll come to me. But he went on and played at VCU, and they had tremendous teams at VCU. And then he played for about 3 or 4 teams in the NBA. He's a terrific player and that kind of shooter too.
Yeah.
So,
the best I ever saw was about the time I was in high school at Patrick Henry. It was Ricky Wright. Do you remember him?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Ricky Wright. And that's
saw.
Going way back in what my hometown radio station WROV AM used to call the Cobweb Corner.
Right. He did those jumpers in warm-up.
They'd pull out some song from the early 60s and play it, and that was a great radio station, believe me.
It was.
Oh, and Jim Carroll, who actually his real name was Colston, and he's our friend Chris Colston's father. And I didn't make that connection until after I'd worked with Jim Carroll at Radford for a while, and I was a playground supervisor in Salem with Chris's girlfriend at the time, and I'd played pickup basketball with him, but I never knew that he was like, because it was like Thacker and Packer if you got to meet Jim Carroll back then. It was about as big as it got. It was amazing. Anyway, I was going to say Ricky Wright used to shoot those jumpers in warm-ups. I remember that the Roanoke Valley District Tournament in the Civic Center, he would go all the way down the end of the baseline off the big wide stripe and shoot from behind there. And then there was no 3-point shot then. You didn't get anything extra, but it was crazy.
Well, we're out of season, but we need to come back in basketball season and start talking about some of the basketball we've seen, because the basketball has just been incredible. All over Times Lane, all over Western Virginia, we have seen some unbelievable high school basketball. So,
yes, we need to come back and do that. But
I do want to do this real quick. I was going to ask you anyway, Ray, and then I'll just get out of the way. But speaking of that, I'm going to give you 2 words, and I want your reaction, because nobody that people around Radford, when I bring this name up now, older folks, they understand. Mike Porter.
Oh my gosh!
Ray, go.
Mike Porter. Robert Anderson has just been referenced here, but Robert Anderson had talked about this for years and years, and we agreed. Porter's the best player we ever saw in high school. He was magic. And a friend of mine who was my best friend from college just died a couple of weeks ago, and he was a tremendous basketball fan, and we went to the University of Virginia, and he came down to Pulaski in the middle of the work week to see Porter play against Salem, whose star was Richard Morgan, and so he gets there, and Porter, I can't remember which of the 2 of them, who were both lively fellows, but one of the 2 of them, I think it was Porter. No, I'm sorry. I think it was Morgan, had been had been suspended from some sort of, malfeasance about, and he missed the first quarter. And Pat, my friend, Pat Quinn, a good Rhode Island boy, he was absolutely beside himself because he'd come down to see these two players. And Jeff Jones was there, that, the Virginia assistant coach. And I mean, there were other big time coaches there and scouts and so forth. The place was packed. So second quarter started, and in came Richard. And, those two guys played one-on-one, and it was something to see. But Porter was, there was nothing like Porter. There really was nothing like his game. They played, Todd Hopkins was the other star of that team. And he played at Bluefield College, and he, for a while, led the nation in scoring, Todd Hopkins. 6'4" power forward. And they played Mount Vernon in the state semifinals. And Mount Vernon had a tremendous team, and if I'm not mistaken, Mount Vernon's point guard went on and played at Old Dominion, and Mount Vernon won the game. But those two guys, Porter and Hopkins, just put on a show. I mean, Porter was throwing bounce passes length of the court. I mean, just unbelievable stuff. And what was he, 5'10", maybe? Something like that. And I mean, he was this far over the rim. I mean, and just, people would come early just to see him in warmups. I don't know what went on to play, played on a national championship JUCO team, San Jacinto Junior College of Texas, where he played with a guy, I believe his name was Boo Harvey. Is that right?
Yep.
And both of them ended up at St. John's. And I mean, I'm telling you, he was a legend. And you keep hearing about him sort of showing up in strange. I heard about him a number of years ago. He showed up at a pickup tournament out in Reiner, and was playing with a bunch of guys. But Porter was, there was nothing like it. So
he used to come play pickup on Sundays in the Dedman Center. I always heard. Now, I never went and saw that, but I heard some of his dunks in that building were legendary too. And the other thing, you can't mention that era of Timesland basketball. Kevin Madden was at R.E. Stanton at the same time. So, and those they played home and home, all three of them against each other. So you could go see those great matchups all the time. We probably need to turn this back to football. My Facebook is filled up with old football coaches reminiscing here. But I was thinking, I didn't see this, but the funniest thing I heard from a high school game back in my era, which was the mid 80s into the mid 90s, maybe, when I was stringing for the Roanoke Times, Newcastle High School, which I actually covered for a time. My first job out of school was the editor of the Newcastle Record. I can't say much for the whole paper over those 3 months, except that they had their best sports coverage ever, because that's all I wanted to do. Anyway, they had a quarterback named Tim McMahon, who was one of those Johnny Unitas type over-the-top throwers. So he would just rifle the ball, anything down the middle like that. It was and he threw a ball so hard. Howard Wimmer, who's still at the Roanoke Times, working the desk, told me he saw this play. Guy was crossing the middle. The ball was thrown so hard it went right through his hands and stuck in his face mask. But, they had the bar down the front and a thing there, and it stuck. So now this guy's running down the field with a football in his face, trying to wedge it out of there and run. And he said it was the funniest thing he's ever seen on a football field. You guys see anything like that?
Mike, I just got a text message from upstairs here from Ruth, the estimable Ruth Babylon, my wife, who covered a lot of those football games with me at the News Journal in the 90s because she was a photographer, great sports photographer, and then went to the Roanoke Times before I ever did. She was shooting as a freelancer for the Roanoke Times, doing feature stories and a lot of sports for them. Back when the I'm sad to say now, late great Gene Dalton was the top photographer there in the New River Bureau. We just lost Gene recently, but he was a legend.
Yeah.
But Ruth reminded me, Mike, that you and she covered a game together in Blacksburg in the early 90s. And at one point in the second half, a player was injured pretty badly, probably a leg injury or something, and they pulled the ambulance onto the field.
Mike's laughing.
And they took it. Yeah, he's laughing at the injured player being taken off.
That's why I don't tell this story, because it doesn't make me look good.
So they load the player up, and I guess the players are down on their knees or whatever, and the ambulance starts to drive off the field.
And everybody was sad. Everybody knew it was a sad mood. I had to break the tension.
And Mike's on the sideline. He says, "Hey, wait a minute. He's got the ball. He's got the ball, and they're driving down the field in the ambulance. They're at the 30. They're at the 20. It's the old ambulance play, the oldest play in the book."
Thanks, Ralph. Thanks, Ruth. It was sad over there. Nobody knew what to say. I don't know what to say, but I say stuff anyway.
That's awesome. And it's
Sorry
so you.
about
No, it's great. It's great.
We did have a lot of fun covering those games, and I remember getting together with guys after the games, because you had to follow your deadline, so you were done. Usually you could be someplace by midnight, and we go watch Friday Football Extra as soon as we could get there, and see highlights of the games we just covered, which is always fun to see what else was going on. I growing up a young sports fan in Roanoke, I mean, it was such a thrill for me to be part of that. The paper would come out on Saturday, and you'd see all that game coverage, because the Roanoke Times did it so well. All from Robert Anderson back to Teets, and before that, I know some of the other prep editors they had,
Guts
and it
McClellan.
was Guts McClellan. Oh my gosh! And I'm thinking of Blair Kirkhoff.
Blair Kirkhoff.
Oh yeah.
Blair Kirkhoff.
Dave Scarangella.
Dave Scarangella. Yeah.
Well, Blair used to, and Blair was, of course, just out of Appalachian State when he started there in that job. And he would tell me that he used to come back through Radford, park his car, and go into Muse with that Tandy computer. And the first good-looking girls he would see, he would say he needed to borrow their phone. And he'd go into the room, and they'd be impressed with this technology, this fancy Tandy 200 from Radio Shack. And Blair would hook up and write his story and send it, and then he'd hang out in Radford for a while. I think that was a pretty good thing for him before he got married.
Blair holds a unique distinction along with Doug Dowdy, and they possibly, now I can't verify this for sure, but they for many years had a competition in which they would go to, their goal was to go to all of the high schools in the state of Virginia. And most of these, one or the other of them will be covering something at it. But Blair once drove all the way to Cumberland Gap from Interstate 81 in order to be sure that he could go to all the high schools in Lee County, which in that time I believe was 4 or 5 high schools. All these tiny little high schools in Lee County. For you who don't know geography, is the pointed tip of Virginia that sticks into Tennessee and West Virginia, and I'm sorry, not West Virginia, Kentucky, and the Cumberland Gap. So, but anyway, so those guys, I think they covered most every high school in the state. And I don't know. I don't know what was riding on it. I mean, I don't know what sort of wager, but I'm sure there was a wager.
I think it was just bragging rights. Beth Dowdy, Doug's long-suffering wife, once told me that family trips were a nightmare because he'd say, like, we're close to the Eastern Shore, and there's a high school like in Accomack or somewhere that I haven't, and they'd have to drive off to go to this high school so that Doug could add it to the list.
That's right.
Doug, I mean, Rick, I think a lot of your listeners and viewers remember Doug Dowdy, great.
Oh, absolutely. Legendary.
Covered UVA for Roanoke Times. But this kind of competition was typical for him because he wanted to compete at everything, including to see who could take the most games over the phone on a Friday night. And this was something that sports writers, Friday nights were like DEFCON 4 all the time, because you get the list of games and there'd be 30 or 40 games. Timesland was a lot bigger than it is now. Let's put it that way. It's and you'd have all these games and these coaches or statisticians. I mean, it was an amazing network out there. They had all been trained that, okay, you got to call the Roanoke Times after the game and you give them the score by quarters, you give them the rushing totals, you give them the passing totals, and they knew what to do. And the copy editors, which I was one of them, would have to take these games over the phone to write the little blurbs. These were all the games that we hadn't covered ourselves. We hadn't staffed ourselves with a sports writer. Well, sometimes you'd have to rope in like Dowdy, and this was not his job to take games over the phone. Or sports columnist Jack Bogacik would have to come in and take games over the phone. All right, Bogacik would never take a game over. He hated to be there on Friday night. This is not my job. This is not what I do. The sports columnist at the Roanoke Times take these high school games from Twin Springs or whatever over the television. Dowdy though just relished it, and he would come in and say like I've taken 4 games so far. And how many you taken? I said, like, I just got off my 3rd game. He said, I'm one on you. I took 2 calls while you were talking to Johnny Gazzola up in Hot Springs. So, he would keep a list of like how many games he would call. And it was great when he would work there because then I didn't have to answer the phone as much because Dowdy wanted to do it.
What a show that was in the office. Now, I never was in the office. I was always out actually covering a game. Right. But I will never. Our sports editor was a guy by the name of Bill Byrne, and he was strictly an inside guy. He did not write. And Bill was about 6'8". He'd been a college pitcher at Ohio University, not Ohio State, but Ohio University. And he was a very serious guy about newspaper work. And I will tell you that the Roanoke Times published on time every day when he was in charge, and he was a magnificent editor. And but one night, it's Tuesday night, it's the first Tuesday in November, and it's election night. And in the newsroom, the old sports department and the newsroom were on the same floor. The newsroom being where, crime, politics, so forth were, covered. So there was a whole staff of people that would come in every night. But on election night, they would pull in, just like Ralph described on in the sports department, they would pull in this entire, everybody on the staff was in there just about. And they'd bring in pizza and fried chicken and all this stuff. And it was really an event. And Byrne, like I said, was a serious guy. And he came in, the next morning shaking his head, one Wednesday. And he goes, daggone newsroom. I mean, it's unbelievable. They act like, the war has started. He said somebody came in and was, offered me some pizza. And he said, I don't want your pizza. He said, y'all act like this is the biggest deal in the world. It's election. Of course it is, but we do this this was basketball season by this time, or no, I guess it wasn't, but he said, we do this every Friday night.
Every night was election night in the sports.
That's right.
That's
and
right.
we don't get any pizza,
no pizza. Never got any pizza.
Courtesy of the company, so.
Oh, they did. They complained and bitched and moaned when they had to work a night like that, and I was like, yeah, come on, that's what we do. Late breaking results where you might not know how it finishes until late at night, and then you've got just a little bit of time to get reaction and write your story. Hey, welcome to sports writing. People, one time a year you do this, and we're doing it, several times a week. It's
That's
crazy.
right.
Hey, you know where I got fed best as a beat writer? The Salem guy. I was always treated like a prince by Joel Hicks. He would set me up at his desk in his office there in the weight room atop the hill there, and I mean, long after they would finish, you know, and you know, they would be eating, have a big buffet there after the game. He always bring me a plate in there, so I'm typing my story there to Andy and trying to send it.
He'd bring you a Coke while you were sitting there filing your story.
Yeah. He'd go just lock the door when you're done. You know, turn out the lights and close the door. And that was one of my favorite places to cover a game. But I got fed. And before the game, oh my gosh, the pre-game with the boosters there, the food they sold outside. I never ate on the way to the game because I knew I'd get something better there right at the gate. It was a great place. It was a college atmosphere. It was a great place to cover a game.
Rick, you know this as a Pulaski County guy. So the legend was always that, you know, when Dublin and Pulaski merged and consolidated, the thinking was, well, this is going to be an athletic superpower.
Yeah.
This new Pulaski County High School. And it didn't happen, as I sort of remember the story. And so this gets to Coach Hicks. He's the guy who made it happen. What was always the story that you kind of grew up hearing about how he was able to change the culture and turn it into a winner?
Well, the late, great, you all know Dan Callahan,
yes.
who was just one of my all-time favorite people. And I'm sure we could go into a whole 3 hours of Dan Callahan stories between the four of us. But he was very frustrated. Everybody was. Dave Brown was the coach. Great guy. He'd coached a lot of different things up in Dublin. Ray, you remember Dave Brown and that whole era. And then we had this opportunity. Here's a guy who's been on West Virginia staff, you know, at college. And as Ray mentioned, where he was at high school and built his reputation. And Dan, as you know, was a huge West Virginia guy, right? And fan and connected with all that. So he was the one that really got the ball going with Coach Hicks and connected Pulaski County and Mr. Dobson with Coach Hicks. And that whole thing came together because of really Dan Callahan's efforts, if I remember that correctly. And once Kenneth J. Dobson met Coach Hicks, it was just done. And then they were off and running. He brought a college program to Dublin. And that was the thing, right? You know, he brought college coaches with him, guys who had tons of college experience. It didn't feel like a high school program. And going through it, I know I sure as hell didn't feel like I was in a high school program. I thought I'd never survive the first morning of 2 days, much less get through the whole preseason. But that was kind of the whole interconnected bond. And Ray, correct me if I'm wrong, Ralph, he revolutionized weight training, the weight room in our area, in our region. He brought that with him from West Virginia, and we didn't have the type, and now everybody started to replicate that. But that's what was the key, and I think that's what set the whole thing off, that whole experience.
That's the weight training is a critical component, and when he got started, only he and Jim Hickam, who had been the old Pulaski High coach, right? Jim Hickam, right. You know, had a tremendous career at Northside after that. And I mean, Hickam wouldn't let his players at Northside play basketball or wrestle or anything else. He wanted them in the weight room, and they didn't fool around. They call Coach Hickam Thor. I mean, because he was, you know, he was like that. He and Coach Hicks were the only men that you would ever see. They would be wearing those old bandline coaching shorts in late November in playoff games and stuff. Coach Hicks would wear a stocking cap. Hickam would wear no hat, short sleeves, the whole thing. And I mean, these guys were legendary tough guys, and you know, they set the standard for their teams and for the whole community, really. And let me tell you a good Dan Callahan story.
Please do.
Dan Callahan told me that he had just started at the Southwest Times. He was covering his first Pulaski Dublin football game. And in those days, they played at Calfee Park. There was there was no Pulaski County High School at that time. So they played at Calfee Park, which is where the minor league baseball team played for all those years. And, they changed it over to football. Similarly to what Salem did, they would use the old Salem Municipal Field, which is where Dave Parker and Tony Womack and many other legends played baseball, and they would turn it into a football field after baseball season. So anyway, so Dan's covering his first Dublin-Pulaski game. And it was a bloodbath, as they all were back in those days. I mean, plenty of dirty plays and all kinds of, nefarious stuff. So Dan goes out to his car to go write his story, and he discovers that the tires on his car have been slashed. So, and I can't remember how he made it back to the office. I suppose somebody gave him a ride, but anyway, but that makes Pulaski sound like a tough town, but it's, Pulaski's.
The Dublin fans thought he favored Pulaski, and they slashed 2 of his tires, and the Pulaski fans thought he favored Dublin, and they slashed the other 2.
Well, that's the way it went at the Roanoke Times too, and people would call in, complaining about our coverage, and it would, especially when it came to say Pulaski and William Fleming, not Pulaski. I'm getting all messed up here. Patrick Henry and William Fleming, and somebody would say, "You got a bigger picture for the Patrick Henry game than we did," or your headline was favored William Fleming, and
measure the length of the article.
Schools, huh?
It would measure the length of the articles.
Yeah, that too, and I mean, people took this stuff seriously, man. I mean, Coach Hicks one time, one of my first Pulaski games, he didn't like the way I wrote it. I mean, and he sent me a copy of the clip, and Coach, in typical Coach scouting report style, he went through there like a copy editor with a red pen and outlined the things that I said that he thought was, unfair to the Cougars. And, I called him up and I said, "Coach, listen, I wrote it, I write it like I see it, and I'm sorry." And he said, "Listen, I just want you to know," I said, "I want you to come back and cover our games, but, I had to tell you this stuff." I mean, when he was, I guarantee you, he never talked to one of his players like that. I mean, but he and I were friends ever since, and we were forever. So,
well, guys, this has been unreal. Mike, thank you so much for organizing. Ray, we got to get you on. Ralph, we've got to do this more often, guys. People in chat are demanding it. I'm getting tons of text messages on our professional door text line. I mean, they're just enjoying every part of this, and it's great to see everybody, man. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. Awesome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for keeping us going.
I appreciate you guys.
Alive, Rick.
Yeah,
we got to do this more.
We'll do the lunch in Roanoke again sometime.
Let's do this more often, Ray. We'd love to have you, man. There's so many things we could cover. So many.
Hey, I am. My schedule is my own, so
congratulations on that.
On my schedule, so you let me know.
We miss you. People have been talking about whenever they saw Ray show up at an event, right? You knew it was a big event. You knew you were in the right spot. That's a big compliment, man. That's cool.
Well,
that's cool.
Ray covered some games that I played in. That's how far back Ray Cox goes.
Exactly.
Vaughn Phipps, who was the longtime assistant coach at Blacksburg, he would say that every single time. He said, "Well, I know this is a big game because you're here."
Exactly.
And that was later picked up by Jack Turner. Jack Turner would say the same thing every single time.
Yep. Ray Cox is in the house. Yep.
All right,
thank you guys so much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. We'll see you next time. We'll do this again. Mike, thank you so much. Ray, Ralphie, great to see you, man. You look great. Appreciate all you guys.
Cooper says, "Hey."
Hey to Goober. Hey, guys. That was outstanding. Great to see Ray Cox. It's great to see everybody who joined us here on the program, and we thank them so much for taking the time to join us here today. That was a lot of fun, man. I mean, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for all the great comments. I was like you. I was just sitting there listening to the great stories. That's a lot of great history here in the Commonwealth. That is a lot of great decades of high school coverage, regional coverage here that you just don't get everywhere. That was a lot of fun. So thanks to Jen. She had her SEC most dateable coaches list. What a way to start. I think Richie Davis said great to have Jen on early because people are going to start rewatching going, oh, we don't want to turn the channel now. And then to have those guys, and then we finish up, usually we have a very attractive face finishing up the show on a Friday. And today, we continued that trend with Coach Elmo. What's up, Coach?
You really put a lot of pressure on me following these acts.
Oh, my.
God. What a great show.
Oh,
I mean, you've had good ones, Rick, but let me tell you, that was fantastic.
That was fantastic. Great. Ray looks great. Ralph and Ray, so much history. Mike, I mean, that right there that's what it's all about right there, you know?
Wow. That was really, that took me down memory lane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doug Dowdy, Jack Bogacek.
No.
I love Jack. Jack was very fair.
Doug was.
And so was Doug. Doug was always, one thing about Doug Dowdy, way before all those recruiting lists would come out, back in the 80s, Doug Dowdy would do his Roanoke top 25. And let me tell you, Rick, the football coaches, because of the cycle of recruiting, couldn't wait for his top 25 to come out. And that list was like, we couldn't wait to get a hold of that list so we could start recruiting. The kid. And that's right. Fact. I mean, the 70s and 80s, because he was one of the very first people that was huge when that thing came out after Thanksgiving. Huge. And then he expanded to the juniors and sophomores, and it was a great list of people. He was first-class gentleman.
Well, today, Coach, we're not going to worry about all the bad stuff in college sports. We're going to look at college football. We got college football.
Whoa! They play in the game?
Yes. How about that? I want to ask you, I got to get your thoughts on Bill Belichick, North Carolina. This is, I've heard from a couple sources. I don't think his son's going to return to the coaching staff, whatever's going on there. But TCU last year took a big win. They're going over to Ireland. First of all, opening up in Ireland, it's got to be a huge challenge to get a young football team to head over. What are you looking for tomorrow in Carolina? And you're such a defensive guy. What can Bill Belichick try to do to get this thing remotely turned around, or will he be able to, in your opinion?
Gee whiz, if I had that answer, I'd be making a lot more money than I'm now.
You wouldn't be here with me.
I think he'd want to hire me if I had that answer. He don't need my help. But, just everything that's gone on at Carolina has been, it's not been a positive. Let's put it this way. How he's holding that team, with the GM for whatever happened there, his son, hopefully all the health reasons are, not severe or whatever. And then, and then the season itself, you think about last year, they opened up with TCU. And of course, ESPN, it's a production. And next thing you know, they got Michael Jordan there. And I mean, it was like Dancing with the Stars instead of a football game. And then they proceeded to get their ass kicked. And that thing went south from there. They never recovered from that opener. And I believe that. That was a shock to everybody and the staff. His quarterback situation has been very suspect. Carolina is still has always been, from a coach's perspective. I don't think there's not a coach my age you would not talk to. If they got offered a job at Carolina, they would be sprinting to the job at my age with the histories of just the university itself, the campus, the tradition and location and whatever, but at the same time, it's just been one of those deals that you shake your head. Again, Carolina, Clemson, Florida State. Now, Miami pulled it out finally. But, the ACC, those programs, they need to be good. Clemson being good is good for college football, but think about it. It's great for the ACC. If Carolina was good in football, it'd be great for the ACC. If Florida State was where they were after a 3-year period, it's the ACC. If I'm the commissioner of the ACC, I'm just shaking my head. Come on, boys. You can't pull this off? Come on. I need your help. Give me a winning season, for God's sakes. You think about it. If you're the commissioner of the ACC and you're seeing Florida State just tumble, Clemson, go 500 in the conference. Here's Wake Forest winning 9 games.
Right.
Not that you're not pulling for them, but we're the blue bloods in the conference. Where are they?
That's not the
Miami
same. Right.
Right. So Virginia Tech, same thing. Then all of a sudden it's Duke, it's Wake Forest, and it's UVA having the records that they want, that Florida State would love to have, or Clemson would love to have. You don't think Clemson would like to have been 11-1?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So, it's the tomorrow night's game. It's a program game. I mean, one game never defines a program, but this is going to define the program. He has to win this game. He has to win this game to get the credibility back.
Yes, yeah, no doubt. In all your years, Coach, to start a season, which side of the ball is, if you will, I won't say the easiest, I guess that's it. Which is the easiest to get going early in a season? Is it the defense ahead of the offense?
Years ago, it was the defense. My experience is because, the spread offense has changed everything. It's just if you give up 21 points on defense in today's football or within the last 5 years, that's a really good year. Not a great year, but it's a good year. Usually our goal was to hold them to 13 points a game. Those days are over, except for when you see teams that hold teams defensively 13 points a game, your kicking game is excelling, your offense is excelling. You don't hold teams 13 points a game on bad football teams. There's very few bad football teams that are going to give up 13 points a game. And when it's all said and done, that is the only statistics that matters. Points.
Right.
Nothing else matters. I need one more than them. So to say in the opener, you just hopefully if you've done a good job knowing your team, knowing who you play, you'll find out within the first 3 games. Hopefully, you get to find out who your playmakers are. Coach Alvarez always used to say, on defense particularly, we need at least 5 guys. Who are the 5 guys that throughout the season, their plays are going to be made? They're going to make their plays. And it's defined by maybe a DN, maybe a DB, maybe a linebacker, maybe a defensive tackle. And the rest of you guys play for us. Play for our team. Don't play for the opponent. Because you're not going to get 11 guys. They're going to be 11 special playmakers. The NFL doesn't have that. Okay? Now, as you go up from high school to college to NFL, that number increases in terms of numbers of playmakers per unit, offense, defense, special teams, because the talent level's going up. So, you want to be able to, the first thing you're concerned about in the opener is turnovers. That's the number one thing offensively, turnovers, penalties. Those are the things, that when you look at things, what can get a coach fired? 12 men on the field. All right. You're turning the ball over consistently. I mean, hey, 1994, when we played Virginia, when I was at Virginia Tech, we got our ass kicked, but people forgot we turned the ball over 8 times in one game, Rick.
In one game.
And we held them to 5 field goals. We held them to 5 field goals in one game. We got our ass kicked. They scored, 40 points, but 5 of them were field goals off of turnovers. So, those are the biggest, concerns you always have going into an opener. Penalties and turnovers.
Yeah, penalties is massive. You're right. Protecting
penalties
the ball.
Is huge.
Yeah,
huge.
You
look at Virginia Tech last year, the penalties and the You know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's just ridiculous because it's
so many,
you're disciplined.
So many.
Yeah, you know. And Coach Holtz said, "Think about turnovers." You go, "Hey, they're not acts of God." You turn the ball over for him, you're not seeing the field. I don't care who you are.
That's right. That's right.
A face mask was being grabbed. Trust me.
UVA, NC State. You've seen UVA up close. That feels like that's going to be the best game of the day, doesn't it?
Without best game of the whole weekend. The game. It's a premier game. Because you know what? NC State, you've got a solid football team. He's done a heck of a job there.
Good quarterback, too. Yeah.
He had a bad 2-year run because he had bad portal quarterbacks. Took the Armstrong kid from Virginia, was a disaster.
Oh,
took the kid from Coastal Carolina, was a disaster.
Terrible. He was terrible.
Disaster.
Yeah.
You know, between Florida State and NC State, you know, 2 years prior to this last year, the portal giveth and the portal taketh.
100%.
Buddy, that damn near got those coaches fired. They're still lucky they're there. Now he's got a guy that has a chance. He's very similar to Lenore Sellers.
He is.
Very similar, physically and athletically. And they've got a good running back. And Dave Doran's a defensive guy. They will have a solid defense. They will have as solid a defense as because their talent, I don't know if their talent's any better or worse than Virginia's on defense. If you looked at, you probably could switch uniforms at the halftime as far as talent's concerned. You wouldn't probably know the difference.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but they're well coached. Both teams are well coached. Both teams are going to play hard. You know, Dave Doran is a damn good football coach. He's been there for a long time, and there's a reason for it. They just had bad portal quarterbacks 2 years prior to last year. So it'll be a great game. It'll be interesting. This is a game, Rick. Their season will not be defined on this game. It will not. Carolina's season will be defined on this game. I promise you.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because of the credibility you have to build. He's got to build. Belichick's got to build credibility back with what, Rick? Wins.
Got to win. Got to
win.
Yeah.
Okay. They've got the credibility. They lose this game, they still got credibility. You know, not that they ride on last year's coattails, but they have credibility. Now, when you get by the time you get to the Pitt game, I think the third game is Pitt or West Virginia. Okay, then you get to find out where your team is. You know, so that's what you got going.
And the winner is going to be, with the schedule the way it's made out, the second straight year is going to be in the catbird seat for a while. If they can keep winning, at least for the month of September, potentially the winner could be undefeated going forward. So,
you know, and again, you want to get into November. Hey, Rick, see the shirt I'm wearing? Okay. I want to get to November with this.
Absolutely. Okay? Yeah.
I want a chance at this. And that's what you want when you get into November.
Well, you saw UVA up close and personal. You were there.
Yeah.
Perbola, you saw him. What do you think about? What do you think about them?
I'll tell you, Perbola. He's an athlete. He is a hell of an athlete. I think he would be one great safety. I really do. I think if he don't make it in the NFL as a quarterback, I'd take him. I'd draft him in the NFL and say, okay, you don't want him, I'll take him. You know, as a safety, because when he spit out a run, the scrimmage, you know, a scramble, and I went, holy mackerel. I'm just talking about athletic talent. You know, the hips, the flexibility, all the things that I look for and what I call the football athleticisms. He has it. But Rick, the biggest thing is 9 interceptions last year and 7 starts at Missouri. And he threw one in the scrimmage. I went, wow. That's the reason why I coached quarterbacks for 6 years, Rick, and ruined every one of them. You threw an interception, it was ugly. It was ugly. And I ruined them all. Trust me.
And you ruined them all.
Yeah. If I was coaching that interception he threw at UVA, probably the last time I ever coached at Virginia that day. Because I had been grabbing his face mask. The hell hey, like Coach O said, the ball's not yours. It's the program's.
I like that. The ball's not yours; it's the program. Well, he's right. He was right. Right.
But and then the Holstein kid. Now I'm just telling you what I saw. He threw 2 shots down the field, and that to the receivers. And not that this makes him a great quarterback, but just watching him, the poise he had, the delivery he had, the trajectory of the ball, and the accuracy of the ball was like, okay. So, I mean, I think, and he's 6'4". He's a good-looking kid. Now, he's the NFL prototype quarterback. So that'll be interesting to see how that season develops out. You know, can Pabula stop? Is he going to be a turnover machine or not? That's the big question you're going to have with him. If you watch at NC State, you know, as I would always say going into a game, I would tell the kids, defensive backs, I said, hey, do your job. You're always playing for the unknown. You're going to be involved in 2 plays in this game. Okay, you got, especially at the corner, you're going to probably have 2 opportunities to be either a part of the win in this game or a part of the loss in this game. So be in position because he's going to throw it to you. That's what I would tell him on the quarterbacks that had this interception, string of interceptions. I said, he'll throw it to you. You know, we played Michigan State. Nick had a great team. He had one of his best teams he had at Michigan State the last year. And the quarterback, you know, he was just a kid, not a good quarterback, solid quarterback, but he was an interception waiting to happen. And we picked him off 3 times in one game, 2 or 3 times for sure. And and we told the kids, be in position, he's going to throw it to you. So Pabula's, if he's into that, then you're going to see you're going to see the Pitt kid in there fast. I'd look because you know he's got to learn to protect the football. That's what I saw, and of course you know we'll see who's going to shine for them at running back. You know, see if that offensive line. Hopefully, those kids haven't read their press clippings.
Yeah, I know.
I think their coaching staff, like I said, you know, they got that pressure on them. The most returning starters in all of college football, apparently, from what I've been told. You know, they got 7-year starters on the offensive line, for God's sakes. 6 and 7 year starters, semi-pro outfit. So we'll see. We'll see if that bears its fruits. They've a lot of wins behind them.
They've got a lot of injuries they're dealing with, but they got a lot of depth. The offensive line,
everybody does, Rick.
But everybody does it. They don't necessarily talk about it. But yeah, UVA kind of did, so it makes it sound like it's worse.
NC State's got injured. Everybody does. You know, I mean, if you're going into the season with no injuries, I've always said, you know me, my philosophy with depth. I'm worried about depth. I'm worried about competition. And don't forget, injury will create depth because next man up. Get in there and get the job done. Just give me a game out of you. One game. Yeah. I don't need a season. You give me one. You're the backup. You give me one game, and you play for us. Don't play for the opponent. You play for us. I don't want your name brought up in the game. I don't want to hear your name. If I don't hear your name, you've done good for us.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. If you know everything's okay, you're going to show up good on film if you don't hear the name.
I said, when I was in Wisconsin, we lost Jamar Fletcher for 2 games. He turned an ankle. This is an All-American corner I had. 23 interceptions in 3 years and 5 for touchdowns.
It's unbelievable.
He intercepted Drew Brees twice in consecutive years for touchdowns.
That's incredible. That's 8 interceptions a year. Wow.
Yeah. He had basically 7 to 8 a year. Did 23 in 3 years. Oh yeah. First team All-American. He was the Thorpe Award winner. Well, he's hurt. I'm losing him for 2 games. I got to start a true freshman named Joey Bose. Joey Bose is the strength coach for the Cincinnati Bengals right now. Okay. And he was a California kid, modern day high school, great high school program. I told Brian White, that you had on with the book, The Lockers Up. I said, well, Brian recruited him. I told Brian, I said, Brian, if we don't get this kid, fire me and hire the coach because he's a well-coached kid at modern day high school, you know?
Yeah.
So he's got to start for me. He's got to start for me. And I told him before the game, I said, I don't ever want to hear your name in the course of this game. And we won. We beat Northwestern, UNLV and Northwestern. He had a start as a true freshman.
And then you get Jamar back, and he still averages 7 or 8 interceptions. He's missing 2 games. Wow.
He was something. I mean, it was, he was one of those guys,
I remember.
He was going to make his
Yeah.
plays, Rick. He was going to make his plays. Where all of a sudden, in the course of that game, and it was like, the thing with Jamar and what the great DBs, what separates them is they're for 58 minutes, they are so disciplined because the play's going to happen. Don't know when. It's going to be 2 plays. It's going to take a minute, and you got 2 minutes. Basically 2 plays in a 60-minute game. That's going to come your way. It's going to happen. Okay, be in position. Don't know when, and that was the key. He was always in the right place at the right time.
The right time.
And next thing you know, we're playing Purdue. It's 17-17. Drew Brees, first year starting, great team. It's 17-17. With midway through, just about the end of the third quarter, Drew Brees threw a quick hitch to the big field, a large field, and Jamar stuck his foot in the ground, full stride, picked that sucker off, and 56 yards later, and then we ended up winning 34. It turned the game around. Nothing turns the game around more than an interception for a touchdown or a punt return for a touchdown. Those are drive game killers for the opponent.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out tomorrow, Coach. I know you're going to be watching. I guess you're going to be watching. You're going to be watching some games tomorrow. You're going to be out fishing. What are you doing?
Oh, I don't have to go out to happy hour now. I got to get my reports ready for you on Monday.
I know. We got VMI. You're going to watch VMI Idaho State tomorrow, too. Yeah.
Yeah, I got VMI. Tonight's William Mary Villanova.
That's right.
I'll tell you, William Mary going to the Patriot League, that was a great move for Richmond and William Mary. Think about this, Rick. They were in that Coastal Athletic Conference. Think about the associations, Rick. And you're at Radford. You get it in terms of what's going to bring people in, and so all of a sudden they jump into a league that's Stony Brook, Albany, Monmouth, Bryant. Where's the associations?
I know.
There are none. At least in the Patriot League, you have football history.
Yes.
Fordham,
Yes. Makes so much sense. Yeah.
Bucknell, Lafayette. Those colleges are football schools with a background.
100%. Yeah.
And they're good academic schools. And then now you got Villanova, Richmond, and William and Mary in the Patriot League. So if I'm a TV exec on ESPN, I got William Mary playing Fordham.
You would
William
think
Mary playing Lehigh,
right?
Or Richmond, William and Mary by itself, or William Mary Villanova. I'm putting you on, as opposed to William Mary and Albany State.
Yet last night they have a channel called ESPNU and 0 FCS games on. They don't show any live football on. They show one of their crap shows instead of showing, sports. They could
exactly. So the William Mary game's on ESPN Plus. So I may have to go over just one.
That's what they're trying to sell. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
They want that subscription. So that's a problem. But if you are William and Mary in the Patriot League, at least you have a viable, competitive conference that's got some history behind the football program.
100%. 100%. Some of the earliest playing football schools in the country. Yeah.
The best thing that ever happened to William Mary and Richmond, particularly. And Richmond was the first to go. And the William Mary Richmond rivalry is one of the oldest in the country.
Exactly. It was a great move. It was.
Hey, you got that information on Jack Williams, didn't you?
I did. I was going to say I'm going to reach out to him probably first.
Yeah, reach out to him. I'll tell you, I personally, selfishly, I will be listening without. Don't have me on with him. I want to hear it.
Okay.
That leadership. I just read the first page of that book and put it down and went, wow.
Yeah.
This book is unbelievable. He wrote 223 and about leadership. And, he was a captain himself. And he's got, you asking me and Todd about captains, this is the guy you want to ask about.
Okay.
Dealing with leadership and education in the state of Georgia. Particularly, that's what he deals with. You know?
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to him on Monday. So if you talk to him, I'll call him up on Monday. So yeah.
Hey, I heard from Billy Myers.
Yeah, did you really? That's awesome.
Yeah, he wants to come on the show.
I'd love to have him on the show.
You know what, Rick? I'll just be your producer.
Yeah, just kick out. Yeah, I don't have one, so you know.
What the hell? You know,
in between football and fishing, you can just be my booker. You can be my show booker.
Now I have the right to ask for a raise.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we'll have to renegotiate your contract.
Damn. Hey, you got to have me on. When you have me on again, I've got a couple of guys. I'll let you go. It's funny how all of a sudden one phone call leads to many, right?
Yeah.
Billy Myers calls me, and we're shooting the bull, talking about, and all of a sudden this gentleman's name came up, Curtis Taliaferro. Curtis Taliaferro played at Salem High School. Great athlete.
Right.
A great athlete. Goes to fair. I'm coaching there. In 1982, he played for me in 82. We played for the national championship. He started me. A great athlete. I don't know how he got the fair. I have no idea why he got the fair in that way, because great athlete. Well, he signs at Virginia Tech. And then years later, a couple years later, I'm at Virginia Tech. So it was kind of cool. I get to coach him twice. One in Ferrum and one in Virginia Tech. He's our starting outside linebacker, probably the best athlete we have on the team. That's the team that won the Peach Bowl. You know, he would play with Todd Grantham and Kinzer and all those guys.
Yeah.
And we had a bunch of Southwest Virginia guys on that football team, a bunch. And that's the team that we went down and beat Clemson at Clemson. So I get to hear from Curtis. So I get his number and I'm talking to him. And then next thing you know, Curtis is telling me about a guy. He goes, oh, by the way, I'm going to send you pictures. I talked to this gentleman we had a fair named Frank Rossi, a fullback from New Jersey. I said, well, what's he doing now? Oh, he's in his 33rd year of special ops.
Oh,
I said,
wow.
I said, are you kidding? He sent me pictures of him from Afghanistan with the camels and the horses, with night goggles, all the machine gun. I'll send you some pictures. And he wrote me. So next thing you know, he sends me a text. And he said, and this is what he said in part of it would have been 3 pages if I printed it out. I haven't talked to this guy in 40 years or seen him in 40. He said, this is more than once I'll read this to you. He goes, more than once on a black operation in Afghanistan, as we were going to our target on a black op, he goes, the only thing would come to my mind is the Ferrum Brotherhood. He said, and the standards that were installed when I was at Ferrum to get me through this mission. How about that, Rick?
Love it. There you go. That's mission accomplished. Yep.
It says it all, Rick. It says it all.
That says it all.
So I'll let you go with that one.
Yep.
Buddy.
All right, brother. Enjoy the football. I'm sure I'll talk to you this weekend somehow, watching games.
Yeah, we'll look up. Call me if you got any issues or questions or whatever about the game, and we'll do a good deep dive Monday into I'm gonna try to look up VMI, see what they did, try to make some calls. I don't think I'll be able to see the game.
Okay.
But at least, and the William Mary Villanova game, I'm going to try to see that one tonight.
Okay.
But the Virginia NC State game, I'm going to watch it. We'll do a deep dive and Monday dissect
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that'll be fun. Yes, we will.
Cool.
All right, Coach. You have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for moving the schedule today, too, man. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, listen, I'll be your producer, man. I'll line up.
Hey, I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll just go. We'll go.
Let's go. All right, buddy.
Let's go. All right, take care, Coach. Good stuff. Man, what a great show we had today. That was a lot of fun all day long. All day long. Thanks to Coach for moving the show. Jen, what a great list. If you missed it, go back and watch Hour 1. She rated the most dateable SEC coaches year number 2. It's awesome. Congratulations, Brent Venables. Lucky guy. Hour 2, don't know what to say about that. Mike Ashley, Ray Cox, and Ralph Barrier. Enough said. And then Coach Elmo to finish. Wow. What a way to lead into the first football weekend. High school football tonight. Let's keep them all healthy. Blacksburg makes its debut on the channel tonight against Giles. Again, Landon Weaver and Richard Terry, 2 of Bill Ross students, going to be on the call all season. Tune us in, 7 o'clock to kickoff, 6:30 the pregame. College football tomorrow. It's here. We made it. We'll review it all on Monday. Thanks, everybody. Subscribe, like, and share. Thanks to all of our great sponsors. Couldn't do it without you, everybody in chat. Oh, I didn't tell you. The BDST Ryan Pry question of the week, your all-time greatest football coach? Don Shula. We had 82 votes, and Don Shula edged out Vince Lombardi and Tom Landry. How about that? We'll get more into that. Thanks, everybody who participated. That was a lot of fun. Don Shula was voted by you who chimed in as the greatest NFL coach of all time. I can't sit here and say that I have a big problem with that. Today was fun. It's always fun. You make it fun. Our guests make it fun. We'll see you on Monday, everybody. Enjoy the football. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you.